take that assessment and be curious. Just be open to improving, even if it's uncomfortable. Be open to asking, yourself questions that you were not taught to ask. And if you start to realize the answer is no, or something that doesn't make you feel good, like that's what you need to lean into. As opposed to trying to stay comfortable, because our industry will change more in the next 24 months than it has in the last 24 years. And I don't want people to get caught flat-footed.
Hey guys, Wally, Elibiary. All right, so what is 24/7 mindset? Most times when you hear 24/7, you're thinking what? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just grinding, hustling. I learned over time, a 24-year career in mortgage and multiple other businesses that I own is, unfortunately, you'll get burnt out. I became an absent father, I became an absent husband, and I became a poor business leader because I was trying to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to build a business, maintain a business. When I learned how to work smarter, not just harder, by doing things the best way it could be done, instead of just simply doing my best, I learned how to work only 24 hours a week, 7 months a year, while I got paid from the business residually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can do the same. Welcome to the show.
All right, my friends, we're officially live. The man, the myth, the legend, like my post said, Mr. Ryan Grant. Thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Oh man, good to be here. Definitely not a myth or a legend, but I'll try and live up to the hype.
I don't know, man. It's been awesome to see your climb, man. I think what's super cool, it's something that I was telling Nikki and I were talking about it last night. I'm like, hey, I'm doing a podcast with Ryan in the morning. And it's been super cool to see, back, I don't know, I think it was that post of me, you, and Cody that I posted a couple days ago, like 2013 or something like that, first sales mastery together. A bunch of young punk kids trying to figure out their way in life and trying to originate more and try to reach their goals. And it's been awesome to see how you've evolved into such a pinnacle in our mortgage space.
Oh, thank you, man. I think it's all necessity. I was talking to somebody the other day, and the realization was that if you build something that scale, it gives the leader the ability to look up and out. Whereas most of us are always just down and in, right? It's just loan after loan after loan, and realtor meeting, and you just do that for 20 years. And if you don't have the ability to kind of look up and around the corner and see what's coming, then you just kind of stay oftentimes in the same place, or you take a little ground, but you're not necessarily able to really innovate for what's ahead. And I was just really fortunate that I learned from guys like you and Cody and Marty and all the people in our elite group back in 14, 15 that we were able to build teams that created that scalability that allowed us to look at things a little differently.
Well, it's comical. So I want to make sure everybody's super clear. I remember, obviously, I'm a database guy. It's 24/7 mindset, 6-lane highway. It's client concierge. And I remember we were learning all that together around the same time. And I just want to make it crystal clear to everyone that I'm going to go on the podcast to say this, that Ryan was one of the original people that I remember talking about that. Because I remember you were, I think you were with Fairway at the time, and you had a retired realtor that became your concierge person. You're doing it for your branch. And it's been super cool to see, again, just how you've just evolved from it. So when you look at different mentors and learning things like that back then and bringing that to life, what do you look for to help you reduplicate that?
What do I look for from mentors, or?
Yeah, or the mentors are obviously what's super cool about it is you learned something, you went and implemented it, you failed forward, you turned into a business, and now it's great to see the art of home ownership was birthed through starting to focus on your database as a loan officer.
Yeah, I mean, I learned earlier in my career that we needed to, the whole client for life thing. And I was out of integrity with telling people that I was going to be their lender for life when I was not actively engaging with them, or I would say proactively engaging with them in their life. And that became a real problem for me, right? Like I didn't want to tell people I was going to be something that I couldn't actually execute on, right? Or that I made a commitment that I couldn't stand behind. And so we really had to work hard to create the client success manager, and then we created a team around it, and then we created all the technology and the scalability. So now when we tell our clients that we're going to be the most valuable person in their life for the next 30 years, we don't blink, because we've built all the things necessary to execute on it. And it's very little lift on the mortgage advisor individually, right?
Yeah.
They're a part of it, but they're not the entirety of it. And I think that's where that confidence comes from, and knowing that you can make that type of commitment and you can execute at scale.
Well, a Facebook Live I made this morning is talked about how most people think like we all have confidence. First, we all have competence. We've actually done the work. We've actually done the service, done the process, transpired our business. Then it gives us the confidence, and everybody, oh, you're so confident. Well, I wish I was confident like you. Well, I've actually done the work. Here's the receipts of me actually doing the work, which is what you're describing.
Yeah. It's hard to fake it until you failed enough times.
That's some of the worst advice I'm sure that you've gotten and I've gotten earlier in my career. You got to fake it till you make it. It's
don't do that.
Go disappear and go get the receipts, and you have all the confidence in the world.
100%.
So I want to talk about like the evolution of Ryan. Ryan going from a loan officer to art home ownership to a huge influencer in the mortgage space to the president of Neo. Like, is this a 10-year vision you came up a long time ago with that you're now bringing to life, or you just like the rest of us is winging it as we go?
Yeah. When I first started like my real career in 2011, when I met my first realtor, did my first purchase loan, right? Like actually was a big boy in the mortgage industry. I was just literally trying to get out of debt. I was just trying to figure out like, how do I, they'd taken my car back. My house was $400,000 underwater. I had like 80 grand in credit card debt. And I was just trying to make my way, right? I had no illusion of doing anything other than like, how can I do loans? Where do I go meet realtors? How can I, close loans and make money, right? It was literally the hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
Right. Just solve the problem at hand, which was I needed money to pay off debt and live. And then I kind of, as I was in that space in 2011, I just continued to kind of see, okay, well, this worked, this didn't. Just tried to be everywhere, shake hands, kiss babies, networking, getting people to like me and trust me. And I was able to grow from 11 million to 100 million in 3 years, just by luck and happenstance, just showing up and being there. Right, there wasn't really any secret sauce. I wasn't better than anybody else. I wasn't even actually that good at closing loans. They were pretty ugly. They weren't on time oftentimes, but I was able to just kind of make my way. And it wasn't until I got into coaching in 14, started getting around all our crew that we met back then.
Yeah.
That I started to kind of see different pathways and potential opportunities. And I told myself I never wanted to lead any other loan officers because I could just focus on my business. So I did that for a long time. And then I had loan officers reach out to me and they're like, hey, can you help us? Can you teach us? Took a flyer on. I was like, I don't know if I can help you, but you can watch. I was able to see them grow and make an impact in their business and their life. And it was all just like a maturation of a business that I kept seeing a need, and I kept seeing a way that we could improve. And, in 2018, then we started to see like the deficiencies in the business, right? We started to see the challenges in kind of the retail model and the wholesale model. And we, in 2020, really saw, okay, like there's no mortgage company out there that actually means anything to the consumer. There's no brand that means anything other than just that's where you get a mortgage. So we wanted to solve for that. We wanted to solve for the financial inequities that both wholesale and retail deliver to their mortgage advisors. And, and then we matured into 2024, where we saw the massive need for technology and scalability. We saw the need for business development, lead generation at scale, because market share is going to shift. And, we're going to continue to just keep looking up and out. But there was no like grand plan 13, 14, 15 years ago.
So when you look at, I mean, obviously a ton of loan officers will watch this and they'll be really inspired by your story. From 11 million to 100 million in 3 years is unheard of. How do you, how are you able to scale without burning out?
Back then,
Sure. Or like, what advice would you have a loan officer that watches this today and it's like, hey, I want to be the next Ryan Grant. That I want to get, they're doing 11, 15, $20 million in fundings and they want to get to 100 million. How do they grow and scale without burning out?
there's actually an assessment we created that over 500 people have taken this assessment, and it teaches us in today's world what questions we should be asking ourselves that we were never taught to ask ourselves, right? So scale for me in 2011 was 14, 15-hour days.
Yeah.
Right. It was hiring the first person I met that smiled at me, who I thought could help me, and then having it be the wrong person over and over and over again until I found the right person.
Yeah.
It was not knowing how to pay them, not knowing how to lead them, not knowing what I should start and stop doing. It was literally just close my eyes and throwing darts at a board.
Yeah.
So I would not recommend that anybody take any of that advice for my first 3 years. But now we've created an assessment so people can genuinely understand like where their business stands today and the things they need to focus on. And if they do that, the next decade is going to be better than the last 20 years combined.
100%.
Because there's so much opportunity in this new era of Internet 2.0, of lead generation, getting to us first, of being able to provide a value proposition that the rest of the industry isn't. There's just so many things that this assessment will teach people. I'm happy to share it with anybody who wants to take it, but I wish I would have had that 15 years ago, right? Because I could have shortcut a lot of challenges and hurdles.
When you've seen that and you've had over 500 loan officers take the assessment, what are some of the success stories that you've seen that they've gotten from what they've learned from it?
It creates an awareness of things that they didn't know they were missing.
Okay.
Right. Like, so most people don't know how impactful technology can be in their business today unless they really understand what they're missing. And that was something that, was 12 months ago, I didn't know we were missing.
Yeah.
Because we had the same technology as everybody else. The economics of a mortgage literally took me, probably up until 2023. So 12 years to
Wow.
really understand the total economics of a mortgage and how a mortgage advisor should participate in that, to really be entrepreneurial and to be a business owner. But again, our industry doesn't teach that, and they don't teach it for a reason. Stuff like value proposition. I mean, we were banging our head against the wall in those masterminds trying to figure out, like, I'm literally a half point higher than my, discount brokers, my credit unions, my banks. Like, you heard me in those meetings. I was like, why would someone choose me? Right? Customer service, closing on time, good communication. Like, I wouldn't pay a half point more for that shit. Right? So why would someone choose me? I struggled with that for years.
Yeah.
And now we have a value proposition that I believe in wholeheartedly. And I don't care, what the alternative rate option is. Those are all things that I wish this assessment existed 15 years ago, because it creates an awareness of like, oh, I didn't know that. And if I didn't know it, you can't focus on it, right? You can't try and learn something that you don't know if you have a deficiency in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see you, and I'll definitely go on record to say this, that I see you as the pioneer of educating loan officers about the economics of the financials of a mortgage. Where did that passion come from to be to let all that curtains behind the scenes?
When something happens to you that you have such a feeling of inequity, there is this desire to not let that happen to anyone else.
Yeah.
And every day from 2011 on, I woke up and I identified as a business owner. Right? I genuinely felt like an entrepreneur, because if I didn't go out and hustle, my family would not eat.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a family today, right? I'd still be in debt. I would have never gotten married, right? Like, so every day I woke up and I put on this hat of like, it was the Ryan Grant team to start with, and then it was this and it was that. And I didn't realize until 2020 that even though I felt like a business owner, right, that was my orientation to the world, that I signed up to be an employee. But no one told me that, right? And when I saw a massive break in the economics, and I, asked for a more equitable partnership, I thought I was a business owner in partnership with a company that saw me as a business partner, and that very much was not true, right? And then we saw this massive move to the broker / wholesale world, people thinking that they could create more autonomy and have more transparency, and that doesn't exist there either, right? It's just a different orientation of margin control, and you have more pricing options for sure, but the scalability, and there's a lot of challenges when you're chasing price at the and having efficiency be kind of the unfortunate byproduct of what falls off. And so we just said, look, let's create the financial model that we would want as originators, right? Where it is fair, it's transparent, it's equitable, it's understandable, and every person gets to be a little mini independent mortgage banking owner of their platform, right? And you don't have to worry about different wholesalers, and you get the consistency of retail, but you don't have to worry about the iron curtain of margin and secondary that you never see in retail. And so we created this, and we're educating people around it because it doesn't have to be this way, right? If you want to run a great business in 2025 moving forward, you need access to every dollar. You don't need to get every dollar, right? Because partnership is not like, there's platforms you could pay $500 a loan and you get all the rest of the revenue. So you generally get 100% of whatever revenue there is. You pay some warehouse, or you pay some licensing shop $500 to hang your license. Well, that business partner is not going to take your business where you need it to go. They're not going to have the technology. They're not going to have the resources. They're not going to have the lead generation, the scalability, the team building, the scale, the resource, the legal, the compliance, the payroll, the accounting. Like, you need a business partner that's going to take you where you want to go. And so I'm not saying get every dollar. What I'm saying is be aware of every dollar, right? And then understand how you want to be in partnership with an organization. So I really hope that, I'll say it differently. I think every mortgage company will have to evolve to our economic model once enough people know about it, because you can't unsee it once you see it.
Well, I think when you do your webinars and you keep being so vocal over time, it's going to have to be. I think it's such a huge attraction, and I absolutely love what you said. I mean, I own businesses, you own businesses. Like, you can't, the salesperson can't take all the money. If not, there is no platform in the business. But I love what you said about they need to be aware of every dollar and where is it going. And I think the challenge is, I mean, mortgage companies that I've worked for, which will remain nameless, and the ones you've worked for that will remain nameless, there is zero chance, a negative number chance we ever knew how much money was in a loan. And, if I'm being fully transparent here, Ryan, and vulnerable with this, I'm not sure I would have had the financial maturity to understand back then, as a producer, a $50 million producer, a $200 million producer, like, you think it's all about you, or at least I did. And you realize, like, oh, I'm making this, the company's making this, but the platform that the company is built on costs money to build. And if they're taking all the risk, and the company needs to make a profit for the risk that they're taking, it's not rocket science. If a loan officer has a problem with their company making a profit off them, then they need to go take all the risk themselves and go gamble with your life savings and start your own company.
Yeah, I think my response to that would be, to an extent, right? And so when we saw margin expansion where there was 600 basis points in conventional loans and 1,100 basis points in government loans, there only needed to be a mechanism for the mortgage professional, who we consider the entrepreneur, we consider them the business owner, right? If there was a mechanism for them to participate in that margin expansion, right, then it's equitable, right? Because both parties are still participating in margin expansion. They're just doing it together in some capacity, right? As opposed to, like, you make 100 basis points, And now when margins expand to 1,100 basis points, you're still making 100. That's unacceptable and inappropriate for your business to thrive.
Well, I was doing a recruiting call yesterday with a loan officer and doing a pro forma that we're building out for him. And I asked him, I said, hey, talking about your PVs, how do you do it? And he goes, I max out on PV on every single loan.
Of course, he's
Like, walk me
incentivized.
through- you're taking my thunder there. And he goes,
Yeah,
if I'm not making any of the upside, I'm going to take every dollar they're going to give me.
100%.
And I'm like, what? How does this go? He goes, I send him an email, I'll send him a text, I'll harass them. They'll accept the PV, and it's like, this is my neighbor's cousin's loan, my
Yeah,
realtor, and
that's
it's like
realtor, right?
my best realtor, personal deal, like all this baloney that you hear. And I was sitting there thinking, like, if a mortgage company understood that, if they wanted to understand that, and understood it, you can actually create a partnership with your loan officers where they can have more financial upside. It's a totally different culture that you build with more educated loan officers that want to stay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're very proud of it. It's been an evolution. We used to call ourselves transparent, and we didn't have access to capital markets, which we then realized can't say you're transparent unless you own capital markets and unless you allow the origination team to participate in capital markets. But we learned that lesson the hard way. So we've always been learning. We will continue to, and anytime we can evolve the model to create more equality and more partnership, we're always open to it. But I just hope that more people really ask themselves the hard questions, which is why this assessment has been so helpful for a lot of people, is because it gives them questions to ask.
We'll snag the assessment and add it the link on this live. But one question I've always forgotten to ask you, and I always wanted to ask you, is like, okay, you and I, we used to work for the same company. And then all of a sudden, like the Mount Rushmore mortgage loan officers started a mortgage company together. There's like you, Josh Metal, like all these bigwigs. Like, talk to me about like the evolution of like the vision and coming about where y'all 3 or 4 or 5 of you got together. We're like, hey, we're all the big dogs. Now let's go change the mortgage industry, build a company together. Like, walk me through that.
Yeah, it was necessity. In 2018, I would think I was number 23 in the country. I was number 1 in Orange County. Josh was there. Danny was number 4 in the country. And they would probably say the same thing. You'd have to ask them. But if you asked me what I did for a living back then, I would be like, I'm in the mortgage business, like with that much pride and energy. And people would be like, you're pretty good at it. Why aren't you more excited? And I just was not energetically fulfilled with just selling debt. And that's all I was doing. Right. When I ask people, why are you in the mortgage industry? And they say they love helping people, I almost chuckle, because it's like, do you think your pharmacist helps you? No, they just fulfill your order. We are the pharmacists of the real estate industry, in the mortgage industry. And I did not want to be that. And I saw how, we were giving people money so they could own a home, but very few of them were taking the steps to become a successful homeowner. And I didn't want my legacy to be top debt salesman, right? I wanted my legacy to be most impactful, created the most generational wealth, help families get where they could go, not where he hoped they would go. And so that was the whole, premise around Art of Homeownership. And then we signed up a lot of people on Art of Homeownership because I said, this could change the whole mortgage industry, right? If the consumer starts to expect long-term financial commitment, advice, guidance, goal setting, strategy, managing liabilities, if they start to expect that from a mortgage professional, not just low rate, low cost, close on time, which is what almost everybody expects from a mortgage professional, I was like, we could change the whole industry. And I knew I couldn't change it myself. The feedback we kept getting from the Art of Homeownership people was that we can't do this. We don't have the scalability. We don't have the team. We don't have the infrastructure. Our company won't create the technology for us. They won't integrate it. And that was like around 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Man, like I think the only way that we change this industry is if there's finally a company that focuses their company success on the client's success. Right? Not how many loans you do, not what your volume is. That stuff is tertiary. the most, like the number one mortgage company in America should be the company that is the most valuable and creates the most successfully generationally wealthy client. That should be the number one mortgage company in America. And clients should think, oh, that's that company that helps you forever, right? That's that company that my sister was talking about that she got a loan with 5 years ago, and they've helped her in so many ways since then. Like, that's what we want. Just happened to be 2019, 2020. We were like, dude, we can't start a mortgage company. Most of us were in our pajamas trying to do loans, right? And during COVID.
100%.
And then we saw the break in economics, right? We saw, margin compression in 2018 for the first time in my career. And then we just saw this incredible margin expansion to a point where it was just ridiculous, right? Massive amount of basis points. And we looked around and we're like, all the people who are out there away from their families, right? Open houses, working nights and weekends, working 14, 15 hours a day to keep their head above water. All these people that are bringing all this business, they're not getting any of it. They're just getting the same amount every single deal.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, these companies are worth billions, right? People are buying sports teams and ranches with genetically modified deer so they can shoot them, and like all this crazy shit. And I'm like, the mortgage professional, if rates are this low, they're going to go high.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't expect mortgage professionals when rates go high to trust their mortgage companies that their margins are not out. Right? Because I was spending half of my day price comparing against my buddies. What's your rate on this? What's your rate? And like trying to solve a puzzle that couldn't be solved. And so we said, look, if we ever want the opportunity to change this industry, right, to create a brand that means something to the consumer, right, that is meaningful to the consumer, and we want to create an equitable model for real entrepreneurial mortgage professionals to grow a business that they're proud of, right, to have access to revenue that they should have, we got to do it now. And, it took a while and it was scary. Like guys like Chris Ledley, Chris was running a $4 billion division at Caliber and just walked away from it. To do a startup.
Wow.
Like making double-digit basis points. I won't tell you the full number, but making a lot of basis points on $4 billion, and cold turkeyed it because he believed in what we're doing so much. Right? Mine was I was running $1.5 billion group, right? Did 350 million in production. Josh, Danny, like all of us just said, if it's going to happen, it has to happen.
Yeah.
Right? It has to happen now.
So what year was Neo launched then?
End of 2020.
End of 2020. Yeah.
Yep.
So you had a great 2021. The first half of 22 was awesome. Then we all got kicked in the teeth in 2020, late 22 going into 23. So I have a question for you. When we all started getting kicked in the teeth in late 22 or middle 22, at any point we were like, holy crap, I got to go back? Or was it like, hey, I burnt the boats, I'm all in, and like we're in this?
Yeah, I would be lying if I didn't tell you that there wasn't many sleepless nights and discussions with my wife where I was like, because leaders eat last.
100%.
I mean,
yeah.
If there's no money, then there's no money.
And that's what most people don't understand, Ryan. When you're a loan officer and you get paid off the top line versus you're an owner and you get paid off the bottom line, what's net? Mm-hmm. If there's nothing there, or some months you got to write a check. You've got to write a check to come to work and work 40, 50, 80 hours a work week when you've got to write a check. And it's a completely different mindset when you've got to go home and explain to your wife that, hey, we're not going to get a check this month because I've got to pay the employees. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about.
Yeah. Yeah. It was rough, man. It was hard for any of us to right size fast enough, right? It was hard for any of us to really understand the scope and the gravity of interest rates that high for that long.
Yeah.
It literally took until 2024 for people to like really understand, like, okay, we have to stop saying, in a normal market, like this is the normal market. Like, if I had $1 for every time, I'm like, whoa, tell me about your business. well, in normal years I do this, but in this years I'm like, okay, this is normal, dude. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, there was a lot of times when I like asked myself like, hey, like, do I just start originating again? Do
Yeah.
I, focus on something different? But man, I knew deep down, I mean, this is a $1.8 trillion industry. And at no point will people not need money to help buy a home. And if we would have thrown in the towel, all the work that we've done, all
Mhm.
the groundwork that we laid would have gone to waste. And it actually would have given the old guard mortgage companies, the antiquated mortgage companies, it would have given them more of an entrenchment to say, see, what they tried didn't work. Our way works. And I'm just super proud of our whole team, everybody, for realizing that our cause is greater than the short-term pain that we all went through. And now we're just attracting so many really great minds and highly educated people and entrepreneurial like mortgage professionals that not only want to be a great mortgage professional, but they really want to make an impact, right? They want to create generational wealth for their communities. They want to be a better business partner to their realtors and their builders and their financial planners. And obviously we're not perfect. We have a long way to go, but just proud of the fact that we made it through what I hope was the hardest of it.
Yeah. You you get the luxury to work with one of my favorite human beings ever. And there's a few of them there at Neo, but one of my favorite human beings ever is Jewel Marsh.
Yeah, he's a gem.
Jewel, his mom was a realtor back in like 2013, and he became my LOA. And he was with me until like 2016. And what was so beautiful about Jewel is like one of the hardest workers, but one of the best communicators and most articulate presenters. But he helped systematize me like there was no tomorrow, and one of the most systematic minds. But when I saw that he joined Neo, and he's also part of Art of Ownership, also, or am I wrong?
He was one of the early Art of Homeownership guys, and I remember, we had him on one of our Art of Homeownership trainings, and we kind of interviewed and podcasted him early on. I was like, man, this guy, he's going to be something special, just given the right, the right conditions and the right stuff. So super proud of the fact that he is a partner of ours today, and he has an incredibly bright future.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a big fan of him.
Yeah.
And then obviously I think you got Cody there and Bo Mars and like that whole world. It's super cool that almost like that old guard of us, our group, now they're all part of Neo and you guys are flourishing.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to the community. People see someone like Jewel join, or Cody, or the Bomars, or anybody else, right? It's like, okay, well, maybe there's some validity to it, right? Maybe there's something there, and it just creates more curiosity and more awareness. But we do have a leadership shortage, not just in Neo, but the whole industry, right?
Yeah.
And so we're always trying to teach leadership, because we've never really had like genuine leadership modeled to us in this space. If you really think about the maturation of most mortgage companies, it was a loan officer who did a bunch of loans in the 90s or 2000s, or 2008 pre-crash or whatever. They started a mortgage company at some point, and they knew enough people that grew, and then all of a sudden it turned into the big mortgage companies of today. But they're all led by salespeople, right? And there's never been like leadership training in the space. And some of them have been great leaders. Some of them have some challenging leadership qualities. But everybody's really had to try and figure out like genuine leadership on their own. And that's why I really, appreciate Chris Ledley so much, because he's hands down the best leader I've ever experienced. And he teaches leadership in a way that I've never experienced in our industry. And I wish that there was like Jocko's got his musters that he does, right? And all of our people go through that. Leadership 360 is a coaching group that Tim Braheem teaches.
Yeah.
That almost every one of our division leaders has gone through that program, gone down the signature retreat, that year-long journey, because it teaches you how to be a better human, how to be more empathetic. And so like, those are the things that we've always searched out, because we know that leadership is going to be the key for the future. And without it, you just get a bunch of churn and movement and people chasing checks. And hopefully we can solve that.
Yeah. So as you're doing that, I mean, let's elaborate. I want to get to Tim Braheem in a second, then talk about golf. But when you think of like the leadership shortage in the industry, how is Neo, are y'all growing leaders from underneath and developing them, or how are you combating that?
Yeah. I mean, look, every day in our model, people show up as they've taken their employee hat off and they've put their business owner hat on. And when you do that, especially when you're scaling and growing and building teams, leadership is the most important part of the equation, right? It's the foundation for everything that's built on top of it. And so, we've had a lot of people that have joined us that are now running divisions that are attracting other people that, have very sizable teams that are we have a blueprint to 100 families served per month that we're just starting to execute on. And, to really get to that number, it's a sizable team. And none of it works without the team leader genuinely being great as a leader first and a mentor, a teacher, an educator. So I think that's where a lot of people miss is they're like, I'm really good, right? I'm really good at what I do. I know mortgages, I'm good at marketing, but they keep hitting these ceilings. And typically the missing component is that they've never had legitimate leadership training to understand how to get the most of their team, how to create a vision for their team, how to have their team just as bought in on their future of the organization as everybody else, creating alignment. Like alignment is missing all over our industry.
How so?
Right? I mean, just the economics. You just said earlier, the guy you were talking to, right?
Yeah.
He's incentivized to go as deep as he can on the rate sheet, but the company was trying to make margin and make as much profitable as they can. That's a misalignment in economics. Right? There's a value proposition misalignment where people have to create their own value proposition, right? So when someone says, why you, right? Bob, the mortgage advisor, can deliver an incredible value that differentiates him, but the company doesn't do it, right? So he's creating a company within a company because there's no like enterprise level value. Technology, there's massive misalignment in technology. I can't tell you how many companies have 48 different CRMs, right? Have 3 different credit vendors, have all these different things because nobody has created one system that executes really well. And so everybody has to go create their own. You created your own. I had to create my own, right? We all had to figure it out because there was no really good way of doing it, right? And so we all go get the shiniest new technology and we're the worst. So we buy everything, right? And we implement almost nothing.
No, none of that.
Yeah, right. So then there's a misalignment in that. I mean, you could literally go down each pillar of a mortgage practice and you'll find a misalignment between the organization and the mortgage professional. And when leadership realizes if we can just create alignment in every channel, it's magic, right? And again, we're not perfect, but we do have alignment in all those channels and we're just trying to improve upon them every day. And that's the result has been really cool to see.
That's absolutely awesome. So you had your own coaching company. I think it was with Josh, and then you guys partnered with Braheem. Like, walk me through that.
Yeah. So it was always been honestly, when we went through Leadership 360 with the signature program, it changed all of our lives.
Really?
I'm a better human being because of it. I'm a better father. I'm a better husband. I'm a much better mortgage professional, but it's largely because I'm better at the other areas, right? That has allowed me to really look through a different lens. Most coaching is about the $100,000 idea, more loans, more money, show me your W-2, make your calls. Like it's a combination of militants or economics, right?
Okay.
And what I found was those things coached me out of balance, right? They coached me in a way where I was hyper focused on more business, more money, more things, but then I was not mindful. I didn't practice empathy. I wasn't great at gratitude. And, 2017, when I took this course with Leadership 360 with Tim, like most life-changing week I've ever had.
Really?
And then, it just so happened that, Danny and Josh and Mark went through it, and then Chris went through it. And now almost every one of our leaders at Neo has gone through this program. We had 9 of them last year. We have a couple of them this year going through it. And that opened our eyes to the fact that there's no coaching like that in the mortgage industry. Right.
Yeah.
And at the time, they didn't know, L360 didn't do one-on-one coaching, right? It was just that group, 9 to 12 people for a year. And then there was a master's coaching you kind of graduate into and you stay into it. But there was no like large scale education or coaching platform that taught all of those things. And so when we started Tribe, we said, look, let's teach mortgage, let's teach tactics, let's teach scripting and products and all those things, but let's teach all the things that we've learned, right, to a broader audience. And obviously we weren't doing it one-on-one, but people resonated with it like crazy, right? And it was all thanks to Tim and Julie and Scott and that whole group. And then Tim got the idea, is like, because he used to have Loan Toolbox, and he's like, look, I think there's a modernized version of Loan Toolbox where we can help people with all the different aspects of business and life and leadership. And honestly, this was like, I think 23 or 20, when we were just like, we were trying to run Neo, trying to run Tribe, insurance. Like, I was so happy to be like, okay, we want to be a part of this. We want to contribute, but there's no, like, we just couldn't devote the time or energy to it that it needed. And so it was a really great partnership. All of our Tribe members are now Loan Atlas members. They're super excited because they're getting more value at a lower cost.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, anytime we can give people more value and reduce the amount they have to pay for it, it's just a win.
Well, it's pretty neat. So I got a chance to play golf with him in North Carolina, I think it was. A group of golfers. I think it was called Mortgage Hub.
Yeah.
You're definitely a legend there, like I told you when we were in Vegas. But I think it was him and I got to play a couple times, and we played against Ken Perry on one of the matches. Remember Ken? And like, having to give that guy a stroke a hole is like not possible.
Dangerous.
I mean, it's like we fought. Tim and I fought hard all day. We ended up losing to him on the last hole. But I think to me it was super cool to have 4 or 5 hours in the golf cart with Tim and like really getting to know him and hearing about his journey and everything that I flat out told him, everything that I heard about you previously that was bad from a previous mentor. It was 1,000% not true. And I was definitely super excited to get to know Tim, and you're so fortunate to get a chance to work with him.
Yeah, it started off as a coach, and over time it turned into a really great friendship and mentorship. And it's been 8 years now since we've been really close, and we get to spend a lot of time together. But I think one of the things that I learned outside of like gratitude, I think probably being the most life-changing, was curiosity. I think it is a trait in especially in the mortgage industry, that is missing. Most people just want to stay so committed to what they're doing today and so comfortable in it that they shut off the curiosity part of their brain.
Okay.
And they're not like you said, you had a preconceived notion of Tim based upon what somebody had told you. If you were genuinely curious, you would have reached out to him and been like, hey man, I want to get to know you.
Yeah.
I've heard good things, I've heard bad things. I don't care about any of it. I want to get to know you because a lot of great people I know think highly of you, and I want to know, right? And that level of curiosity is in large part why we exist today, why we've evolved into what we've evolved into, why I have a better relationship with my daughters because of my they could do something and I could get triggered or get in a certain way, but if I was just really curious, I kind of go to a deeper level, and I ask more questions, and I'm more present because I truly want to understand, as opposed to just solve a problem. And so if I could give any advice to anyone listening to this, practice curiosity daily. And if it makes you, if what you find makes you uncomfortable, that's likely the path you need to go down.
Yeah. The obstacle is the way.
Yeah, always.
Right. Great book for sure. So it's about 8 minutes left. I want to like shift gears a little bit. Ryan, the person, obviously I think you've got an amazing career. I absolutely love your content. But one thing I think it's and I can understand why, but one thing I don't think it's shined enough, in at least my opinion with you, is like how well versed you are, from the golfer to the boxer to the Duke basketball team to the gosh, what was it? Oh, you and I were in Colorado together, and we're about around a fireplace, and you grabbed a guitar and started like singing and playing guitar. Like,
Yeah.
where's like this well diversity? Like, I'm three things: I'm mortgage, my family, and well, four things: God, but golf. Like, but how do you get so
Yeah.
well versed in like so many areas?
I always tell people I'm good at most things, but not really great at anything. And I think that's hard for most people today because, like kids, if you want to be great at something, you have to like at
Yeah,
8 years old commit your whole life to it, right? And um, I grew up at a time where I could play everything, I could do everything, and I never was really like hyper focused. Even though basketball was like what I really loved, I got to play football and basketball and martial arts and wrestling and boxing, and I was literally did every sport you can imagine. Like I was a pole vaulter in college. Like it was just stuff that I was able to find my way. And in college, I got into music and playing guitar, and then you know just a little bit of everything. And I'm the type of person where I don't like not being good at something, and
yeah,
so I'll spend the time it takes to get good at it. But like with my guitar and my singing, nobody would ever call me a musician, but like I can play some songs, right?
yeah.
So it's one of those things where I like the diversity of thought, and I using different parts of my brain, right? Using the left side for creative and the right side for logic and analytics. And um,
So
I think it's also, yeah,
where'd the boxing come in? Because I remember this was like maybe like 7, 8 years or so ago. I remember you made a Facebook reel or a post, and you were like boxing in front of a bag. I'm like, this dude's got some speed. He's got some power behind that. Like, where'd that
I
come
grew up, yeah, my dad was my martial arts instructor since I was 4. And then I got into golden gloves when I was 8. Um, I got into wrestling when I was 10. I'd always been like a big pugilistic sports person. And I think it's in large part, people ask me how that translated. And if you weren't good at those sports, it physically hurt.
from?
Right.
Yeah,
And I think that level of competition, even though like if you're not good at mortgage, it doesn't physically hurt,
yeah.
but it emotionally hurts, it hurts economically, or there's a lot of ways. And so I think that it taught me discipline, it taught me
Mm.
respect, it taught me, balance. And um, I'm very, very fortunate that I was able to be involved in those. And then now I just box to stay in shape and get rid of the dad bod.
Yeah. It's well, how's the golf game? How's the shoulder? Are we back at it, or are we still injured?
Shoulders 99%.
Okay.
Golf game is as good as it has been, but not
Okay.
great. So depends on the day.
Yeah. You do a lot of wake surfing this summer?
Yeah, a decent amount. We live right on a lake here in Park City, so probably got out 2 or 3 times. Not anything crazy.
Yeah. It was awesome to see. Then I think I saw a post maybe a couple of years ago. Your wife also does it, and are your
Yeah,
daughters starting to get into it?
yeah, yeah. They're starting to get a little more confident behind the boat, and so it's fun to see that mature as they get older.
Yeah, dude. They're how old now?
9 and 11.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
You've got an awesome few years ahead of you for sure. Mine are 20, a sophomore at Arkansas, and 18, a freshman at Baylor. And the whole empty nester phase at 46 years old is definitely different.
yeah,
But
man. Your,
I
your
remember,
boys look like they're doing awesome. So
thank
congrats
you.
on parenting them to a great place.
Yeah, what's super cool, Ryan, is like like if I'm having a conversation with you, it's literally like having a conversation with them.
Yeah,
They're so intelligent, and they're now being in the college world. They're like my youngest son, he's 18, and he came home last weekend. I walked in my home office. I've got a whiteboard there, and he's got this like formula on there. It looked like an alien broke in, and it's getting everything on this wall. And he's like, "Yeah, this is da 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 da." I'm like, "I'm gonna go in the living room. I have no idea. Did you just speak English?" It was just so neat to see like how much they're learning engineering and how things are so different for them.
yeah. I'm looking forward to those years, but I'm hanging on to these ones.
Yeah, hang on as much as you can for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to give you some we got 2 minutes left. I want to give you the closing comments, and then we can kind of wrap up. So,
Yeah.
For anybody, obviously, you've talked about your leadership qualities, the passion behind Neo, art of home ownership, and how you've been able to build this great family life, but it's been funded through mortgage, and being the visionary and the entrepreneur side of it. Where, if someone wants to get in a relationship with Ryan, how would you encourage them to get in a relationship with Ryan?
Yeah, best way, just reach out. Like, I genuinely love helping people. I have a webinar coming up here in a couple of minutes. We do a webinar series once a month where we just teach, right? We teach economics, we teach value prop, we teach team building, we teach tech, lead gen. It's agnostic. It works for anybody, any company, any originator. Come to those. My YouTube channel is a great place where you could just go learn and kind of engage in what we're doing, or how we're doing it, or what we see as the future. Reach out to me on Instagram. Call me, text me. There's a lot of different ways.
That's awesome, man. All right. Any closing piece of advice for loan officers in November of 2025?
Take that assessment and be curious. Just be open to improving, even if it's uncomfortable. Be open to asking, yourself questions that you were not taught to ask. And if you start to realize the answer is no, or the answer is something that doesn't make you feel good, like, that's what you need to lean into.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to stay comfortable, because the future is going to change more. Like, our industry will change more in the next 24 months than it has in the last 24 years. And I don't want people to get caught flat-footed.
Yeah, I think a lot of people got caught flat-footed in 2022. So it's great advice for them to make sure in 2026 and 2027 they don't fall in that same trap.
Yeah, man.
All right, brother. Well, hey, man, much love. I appreciate you, and thanks
Likewise.
for making your time.
Always, dude. Good seeing you. Thank you for all you're doing.
You too, brother. Talk to you soon.
So thank you so much for listening today. It means a lot you took time out of your day. I don't take that lightly. Understand very clearly that you're very busy. With that being said, if you want to continue your journey and learn more about 24/7 Mindset, if you're on Facebook, which I'm going to guess you are, then go to 24/7 Mindset on Facebook and join the private community. I do coaching tips on there on a daily basis, but from scripts on there to systems on there, models, and the ability to be able to grow and scale a business while you have a quality of life. Hope to see you there.